Let's move on then. I think we have our first guest on the show, Mr. Keshav Bhajanka, who is the Executive Director at CenturyPly Boards. He's joining us to discuss the outlook for the business going ahead. Hi, Keshav. Good morning. Thanks so much for joining in. Well, I wanted to ask you about the MDF business first up, because that's what the street believes there's going to be big growth out there because of the under-penetration here in India. Could you tell us, was there any changes in the MDF prices recently? If yes, by how much? And also, has there been any movement on the ADD for the MDF business? Run us through that.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me on the show. Yes, MDF, as you correctly mentioned, is a growth business for the future due to the low base in India. And it is an area where we are heavily investing. We believe that there is scope to grow it rapidly, and we are trying to maximize the growth potential for CenturyPly. Having said that, the current pricing scenario, there is no change. There is status quo. There might have been certain slight reductions of price in the south and other parts of the country, but the north market, which is our largest market, currently has no changes in pricing. And on ADD, there is a very strong case for ADD that is building up. But, progress on these issues does take time. So there is no major change as of now.
All right. So you say there are no changes in prices in North India, but there could have been some in the southern part of the country. Could you give us a sense of whether it's on the way up? If yes, how much? Because for you, the first 9 months, realization were close to around 31,000. What would it be for the southern players? And I ask this not particularly for y'all. Y'all are in silent period, obviously, but for the industry as a whole, because a couple of days ago, we did see big spikes in the share prices of green panel industries, Rushil Decor, predominantly southern players.
See, in the south, there is a distinct advantage of raw material being cheaper than the north. In the south, slightly lower prices are still lucrative because of the raw material advantage. So the prices are not on the uptrend right now. They've been either consistent or in some parts, they've been slightly lower. So I don't see any increases in the very near term.
Okay. And what about the ADD? You said, of course, there is a strong case, but is there any visibility in sight? Have we all spoken to the authorities? Have you all got any timeline? I mean, is there any ADD coming in the near future? Just wanted to understand the timelines.
Well, we're working on it, and hopefully, but these are things that are slightly out of our control. Of course, we're working hard towards it, and like I already mentioned, there is a strong case towards it. But as you know, timelines, it's very difficult for me to comment on the timelines at this point.
Okay, so let's work with what we know then, Keshav. Tell us, if it's a strong case, I'm guessing there'll be a pricing difference. So what is the domestic MDF at, and what is it getting imported at? I'm asking you that because I want to understand, if there is an ADD that's imposed, then what percentage will be enough, in terms of a rate? Go ahead.
You see, I think the primary reason behind ADD coming into play would be that the raw material price in other countries is very similar to that of India, and perhaps slightly higher as well. So considering that the prices for MDF landed in India are coming to about 10% lower than what is being sold at currently by domestic players. So I think that because of this, there is a strong case. And going forward, it should be a double-digit duty.
All right, a double-digit ADD because the price difference is about 10-odd%. Just wanted to know, there is a fair amount of supply which is going to come by in the industry, in the MDF space itself. You have your Andhra plant commercialized. Everyone else also has their, capex plans. But just wanted to know, how will the geographical spread of this be? And at the same time, will there be any sort of impact on the realizations for all of y'all? Because eventually y'all will be chasing the same big customers, right?
In MDF, we have seen that a price war normally leads to a net loss gain. And most of the players have already suffered from this. Alongside that, setting up a capacity and utilizing the capacity are two different things. So I don't foresee too much of a price war going forward, to be honest. And in terms of the capacity ramp up, I think we will be able to ramp up our capacities fairly fast, as we did with Hoshiarpur. At that point in time, if you remember, when our first plant came into play in 2017, the same questions were being raised. But like I had guided then, that setting up a capacity and utilizing a capacity are two different things.
All right, Keshav, let's focus on business then. Slowdown is the new buzzword. Any slowdown or not really? And given what you're picking up in the initial month of this fiscal, revenue growth potential, I think 20% is what you were guiding for. Tell us what are you looking at in terms of growth for FY24?
I think we've been very, very consistent that our objective is to grow at 20% year on year, and that target does not change. And it's still too early, judge the trend, because March normally is a very big month. But what we are getting as feedback from the retail channel is that yes, there is some pressure. It is caused due to the increasing interest rates and a slight difference in working capital, the ability to service. There is a bit of a liquidity crunch. So I think that is affecting demand in general. However, I think we are faring better than most. This is where our brand is actually pushing through.
So 20% is what you'll... 20% is what you'll hold on to then, Keshav, right? Because of the measures that you're taking.
Yes, to put it simply, we will be looking at 20% growth for the current financial year as well.
All right, and final question, then, apart from MDF, your core business is the plywood business. How have things been out there with regards to pricing and with regards to operational performance?
Now, we have taken a slight price increase in plywood in the last quarter. This is due to raw material pressure. But I think in plywood, we have a very fairly robust growth roadmap ahead. So we have always guided that we will be growing a double digit in plywood. And I think we are largely going to be on track with that. So in plywood, being the largest business, I think double digit growth is going to be a realistic assumption for the current financial year.
Okay, all right. Keshav, plantation is likely to be lower. That's cool. What could keep timber prices elevated, right? Could you tell us how you see it panning out, say for the next few months, 6 to 9 months? It's likely to remain elevated, or for the full year?
I think it is a very difficult task to predict timber prices in the short term. But I think the timber prices are fairly elevated, and this is very good because it leads to plantation. Like you said, plantations have been lower. The reason for that has been low timber prices. Farmers are not getting the desired realization. Now, if you look at the north, timber prices have jumped from anywhere between 3.5 rupees to close to 6 rupees. This jump is going to aid in adding drastic amounts of plantation. Agroforestry is now far more lucrative. So in the long term, it is going to be very good for the economy and for the plywood MDF industry as well. But in the short term, yes, there is some near-term pressure.
All right, take that point. Typical agri problems where you have where the prices are low, the plantations are low, and when the plantations are low, the prices increase, and thereafter plantations increase as well. So that's a cycle we will keep monitoring. Thank you, Keshav, for joining in. The good part is that you hold on to your revenue guidance. And as we speak, in fact, apart from CenturyPly boards, we have the numbers of Nestle right at the bottom of your screen. Net profit coming in at 730.